Hello everybody and welcome back to my bench. So in today's video I'm going to show you how I built these cannons and rigged them even though they're not supposed to be rigged. So if you want to see that and more, make sure you stay tuned. Hello BSC family and welcome back to my bench. So today, as you can see here on the PDF, we're still working on these cannons, and like I said in the last video, the way they want you to do this is pretty much build the entire ship, then build these cannons, right? And then slide them through the holes in the side of the ship. And let's see here if I can find it for you. No, where is it? See, the whole ship's pretty much built. The top, and then right here. You see right here on the left here, they want you to put these cannons in all the way through, you know, and come out the other side, right? And I mean, well, that's going to be a real pain in the butt. And then on top of that, how do you rig these things and get all this stuff in? Now there's other stuff in there too. You got to build, if you look here on the left there, W3 and 4, that's a hammock. Now if you look for W4 here in the center, you can see there's a hammock way back here, and then there's one way on the bottom here closer to the front. The stowage isn't really a problem, that's all up front here, but all of this stuff, the cannonballs, these chains, you know, that all gets put in after the ship is pretty much built on the outside and painted. So as you can see, there is no rigging whatsoever on these cannons, right? They're just glued into place. Yeah, they look good, and you can do that if you want, but I want a little more realism, and I'm going to put the rigging on mine. So if we go back up here to where the cannons are, where are we? No, right here. Okay, so we're going to build these cannons. I've already got a bunch of this stuff prepped. I've got the cannons blacked. I did not paint them black. I actually used some brass photo etching blackener. So I'll show you that here in a minute. But also I've got all of these pieces here, the Q4 and Q3. I've got them all painted up. Again, I'll show you that here in a second. And the wheels are not painted, but I've got the axles cut. I've got the pins, the B, letter B, the pins. I've got them all blackened. I've got Q8 and J done, all of this, these wedges. I've got them all glued together, glued together, and wedged, I guess. So I've got pretty much everything ready to assemble these cannons, right? And I've also got a few other things here. Now I'll switch back and I'll show you all this stuff here. Okay, so like I said, I've got these wedges already made. All right, they're real tiny. I've got them drilled out, 1.5 mil drill hole in the center, and these here are 8 mil long. Again, reference your book, you know, so that you can see what your measurements are. But anyways, yeah, they're all cut and ready to go for the amount that I need. I've got all the sides and bottoms cut out. I still got to clean them up, but they are painted with the Vallejo red, this stuff here. So if you want to use the same color. Now I'm going to weather them too, and I'll show you the finished cannon. I did one so I knew how it goes together, and I had to figure out all the rigging. All right, so here's all the axles. There's two different widths. All the cannons have been blackened. All right. I'm also putting little cannon pins, like the hold down straps for the cannons. They don't have anything, so I'm going to paint them on, and then I blackened all these little steel pins. They're just sewing pins, right? So you can pick some of those up at your dollar store. And yeah, so we're going to get all that together. I've already taken the liberty of tumbling all of these one hole 4mm blocks, right? I've tumbled them, so beat them up a little bit. I've blackened a few other things. I've got my homemade rope already, because we're going to need some of that. And we're going to need the raw thread. This is the 1.5 mil, right? Can you see that? 1.5 mil? No, sorry, 0.15 mil. This was made with 3 strands of this. And one day I'll make a video on how I made them. So I think I've got pretty much everything. So I'm going to get a bunch of stuff out. I'm going to show you one cannon, and we'll go from there, because I'm not going to build them all here on camera. It's just repetitive stuff, but I will show you how all the rigging was done. Let me pull this down here for you. Okay, so as you can see here, I put all the blocks and the tackle in there, the rope around the cannon, the restraint rope, the wedges, everything's all done. I left a little extra coil here so that you know, I can wind that up later. It's not glued down. None of this stuff is glued in yet. I just wanted to see how it's going to look. Now, unfortunately, these things are not centered in here. They don't get centered. This one actually sits real close to this side. I have set up my side pieces, and as you can see here, I've got black marks, and that's the center of the holes, the portholes on the side. All right, so I've got to put my cannons in those spots. So I was a little premature on the wear marks up here for where the foot traffic would have been, but you know, it shouldn't be too bad. You won't see this side at all anyways. This is the open side on this side here. So yeah, but again, the same thing. Cannon is off to the side. This one's real tight to this side. You know, this one's the same thing. This one's over here. This one's over here, you know. So they're kind of all over the place, but we'll make it work. And like I showed you in the PDF, looking through the side of the ship once it's done, that's going to look a lot better than, you know, having nothing. And as you can see there, the pins on the top, I hope. Ooh, like I said, none of these are glued in. I zoom in for you. You see the pins I put on the very top on either side of the cannon barrel? Painted it black, painted the wood black, and then drilled the holes and put the pins in. You know, so hopefully that's going to help and make it look a lot better, you know. So we're going to go from there. So I'm going to get a bunch of this set up, and I'm going to show you how to build one. So I'll be right back. Okay, so first thing is we're going to be building all the heavy cannons, because they're the ones that go down on the lower deck. The other style of cannon that's here, they're a little smaller, as you can see, and they go up on the upper deck. So I'm not going to worry about them right now. They all use the same pieces. They all use one of these, which is Q4, and 2 of these of Q3. All right. Now they'll all get one of these little wedges. They'll need a piece of this rope that I made. Now you don't have to make your own rope. You can if you want. You can just use just your regular thread or brown thread, whichever. Now we're going to need 4 pins, And what I did with these things here is I sanded the tops because they are chrome plated, and they won't blacken if they're chrome plated. As you can see, the rest of the shaft is not blackened, just the heads. So I sanded the heads and blackened them up. All right, and we're gonna need well, we'll start with 2 of these. These are the eyelets, right? So we need 2 of them to start with. Yeah. Okay. Now we're also going to need the brown thread in a little bit. Okay, so first thing, we're going to clean all these up. Okay, so you saw me paint this stuff, do the paint on it. I threw a little bit of stain on there just for staining purposes, you know, to weather it up. And made some grease marks, I guess you could say, from whale oil or whale fat for lubing up the cannon pin. Alright, and you saw me dye the wedge block and the tackle blocks. Right, now we need to we need to drill the holes on top here for our pins. I really should be using my big eyeballs for this. Don't have to go very deep. 1/16 of an inch is more than enough. You just want to stay on the black area that you painted. Try to go straight down in both directions. You want to go straight down. You don't want to be on an angle either way or this way, right? So we'll do that one. Oh, I almost put it in the paint. We'll do this one. Now, while we've got this apart like this, because these are going to go like this, all right? Okay, so the wide end goes to the stepped side, all right? Now, I've got the retainer ring, so there's going to be a ring here, and that'll be for the retainer rope. Now, because these aren't supposed to have all of this stuff, I've just kind of looked at pictures of cannons and stuff and seen where the majority of all this rigging goes, and all I did on the other one was I put it for the rigging block, I put one up here, and for the retainer rope I put it down in the center here. So I'm going to take here, make sure you do the outside one, because these can be used for either side. So I'm just going to drill a hole straight through. You'll never see the other side with the cannon in the way. So we're going to do this side too. Make sure you put them both in the same spot. you want, go ahead and test fit. Make sure that your pin will fit in there. No problem. And we're good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a junk pair of side cutters, like your sprue cutters. And we're just going to barely cut off this head. We're going to leave about a 1/16 of a shank below the head of the pin. We're going to cut that off on all four. Now we're going to also kind of do the same thing here. We're going to leave more of about an 1/8 of an inch, heavy 1/16 to a light 1/8 of an inch with these ones. And 2 of these will get cut the same way later, and they will go in those upper holes, but they will be attached to the block and rigging. So we won't worry about them right now. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to install the cannon, right? Now to install the cannon, they go like that. Now some kits, they have an actual tin piece you got to put on top. But first we're going to take these little heads, right? I don't know if you can see that. They're just tiny, tiny little things. So we're going to take them. Now you can use super glue if you want, but I found I need my big eyeballs. Get the big eyeballs, they help. Okay, so we're going to put this, and one is gone. And well, bye-bye to the abyss. Okay, attempt number 2. So you got to make sure you have lots of these little pins. So we're just going to press that in there. The way these are made, they end up having, they use a wire and then they use a machine and it presses the top, so it pinches it and presses the top, and that's how the head of the pin is made. So it leaves these tiny little blades on 2 sides of the shaft, right, which dig into the wood. So then you end up with that. Right? Okay, so we're going to need another pin, obviously. Grab my cutters again. Cut up another one. Now with these little eye hooks, I do suggest you glue them in, just because you will be tugging on them. Alright, so we're just going to touch tiny little droplet here. Grab one of these. Now, you can put them any way you want, but I put them in horizontally because that's how they tell me to do the top cannons, is to put them horizontally. So that's how I did these ones as well. Now we're going to take our wood glue here. I'm going to put a little bit on this side. Now the thicker side of the cannon, the back of the cannon, goes to the notched side. Now we're going to take a couple small clamps, right? Clamp that one. Make sure it's pressed all the way down on top, both sides. There we go. So we're going to let that dry. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to super glue the axles in. So we're going to need the 2 axles. Now there is a 20mm one and I believe a 16mm one. Double check your instructions. I've already blackened them, so I've got one long one and one short one, and we're good there. So we're going to get those glued in. We're going to get the wheels glued on, and then we're going to put the wedge in, right? And from there we can start doing the secure rope and the block and rigging. So give me a few minutes and I'll be back. Okay, so that's been sitting for a while now, so we're going to unclamp this. Alright, so that's where we're at right now. Now we're going to take these two bars here. We're going to put them in these little slots that they have cut out for them. Alright, we're going to center that bar as best as we can. Put the front one in. Do the same thing, center that one. Alright, now we're going to just test fit the wheels here. Make sure that, you know, it looks centered on both sides. Yeah, pretty close, I guess. Probably go that way just a touch. There we go. Now we're going to lock that in with a little bit of super glue. And do the same for the front ones. Now we can take the wheels back off. I'm going to put a touch of super CA glue here on each end. And there we go. So now we're going to take the wedge. We're going to put that right here. We're just going to set it, you know, just so the handle is sticking out just a little bit. You can see that, right? So that's where we're going to put it. Such a CA glue here. Just like that. So now we're going to prep up the hold down rope, or the restraint rope. Alright, so that's going to go right around the back side here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bit of a loop, right? And that's going to get tied right around the end here, like so. Okay, you see that? Now the way we're going to do that is we're going to take some brown thread here and a pair of scissors. I'm going to make a loop here like this. Alright, so hold the loop across our finger. We're going to go around a couple times. Okay, then we're going to pass the thread through the hole and just barely snug up both so that you have a loop like this that's ready to be a knot. So you're going to pass your rope through twice. You're going to put it in the center as much as possible here. So now you have the start of a knot and your thread going around it, right? Then we're going to tighten these two up a bit. Not fully tight. So now you have that, right? Now we're going to pull on the rope itself. wrap it around that, just like that. Okay, now we're going to pull the brown ones tight. I'm going to hit that with a touch of CA so it locks it right in place there. We're also going to put a touch, just for safekeeping, I'm going to put top and bottom. You can put it wherever. And we're going to put the loop back on. Make sure that the loop is tight. Then we're going to trim off the excess of the thread, like so, and we're good to go. Now, these two ropes will be passed through your first eyelet, like so. And those will pull forward. Okay. So that's what you're going to be left with. Okay, so now we're going to leave that aside because we're going to take two of these after. Right? And those will go on there. But we don't know exactly where yet. So we're just going to leave them like that. And just temporarily fold these over. Give them a bit of a crease here. Help keep them on there. For now. Like so. So now we're going to set that aside and we're going to work on the tightening blocks that pull the cannon back into its place. So now I've taken one of these blocks, just a block of wood, and I've drilled holes that match the size of these pins. Okay, so we're going to put one here for now. I'm going to turn it that way. I'm going to put one there. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of our light colored thread, or the raw thread. Alright, I'm going to take a piece of this. This gets fed through the eyelet, like so. Okay, now we're going to take another piece of our brown thread again, and we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to make our loop at the end. We're going to go around the finger 2 or 3 times. And then we're going to pass it through the loop. Snug this one up. Okay. So that's what we've got now. Alright, now we're going to take that, we're going to grab it where we've crossed it. We're going to grab both of these ends. We're going to pass them through there. Bring this all the way down to the end. And we're going to snug this up. Go slowly. Try to get everything pulled in nicely. This can be quite tricky at times. Now don't pull it over tight yet. Grab your 2 tan strings, and we're going to slide this knot down. Tighten this up real good. Make sure it's slid all the way down, tight to the ring. And then again, a little touch of CA glue. Just on the knot. Like so. And there we go. Now trim this excess off. so. Now you should have a rope tied to your eyelet. Alright. So now we're going to take these. We're going to make a small knot here. Right? Just like a regular knot. And we're going to take one of the blocks. This is where you need 35 hands. Now you're going to wrap it around this groove opposite of the hole. As you can see, I've got the tweezers in the hole. So that little groove there, that's where we're going to put this rope. Okay, see that? So touch of CA glue on there. And we're going to trim that excess off. So now you should have a block with an eyelet like this. Okay, so you got the eyelet going through. It's tied at that end. Alright. You get the hole. We're good. So we're just going to make it easier here for you guys to see. Now it might be easier if we drill this deeper so that the eyelet sits deeper. And also I'm going to trim my eyelet down just a little bit for now. There we go. Now we're going to do roughly the same thing, but we're going to leave this one much longer. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing with the brown one again. Now it might be easier if you actually pull the pin out, put the pin back in so that this rope is sitting around it. Alright, now you can take this one and move it up here. Now, if I didn't say it in the first one, the hole that's in the block, all right, you want that close to the eyelet, all right. You want to try and make sure that your knots are centered on the block, top and bottom. Now this one here, we're going to put a touch of CA on this one. Now we're only going to cut off the short side. Okay, leaving this long one. Now this is where this comes in. So we'll put this pin back in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to feed through. We're going to take this long one, we're going to feed through here, but what we need is one of these. Get yourself one of these. These are a needle threader. So you're going to feed this, if it'll cooperate here. You're going to feed it through one of the holes. You're going to put your thread in. And you're going to pull it through the block. Okay. Now you have it like that. Okay. Now you're going to go back up. You're going to feed it through the hole again. Pull it through that side of the block. And there you go. Now you have one side for the cannon. One pin goes in the side of the cannon, and one pin will go in the framework of the ship. Okay, so I'm going to do the other one, and then that's pretty much it. You can glue them in if you want. Remember, up here. All right, so this one will go to the wall. The one that's attached at the bottom will go to the wall. This one will go to the cannon. We're going to shorten up that pin. Okay, don't forget that. So that is what you're going to end up with. Okay. Now what you want to try and do is make it so that, or at least that's what I try to do, so that the pull side of the block, where it's coming back out over here, that will be on the outside of the cannon. See that? Okay. That's what you want to do, or at least that's what I'm trying to do. That would make sense. When they pull on it and pull the cannon back forward, you're good to go. Alright, so take that off for now, set it aside. I'm going to make another one, and I'm going to glue mine in, and yeah, then we'll figure out where these ones go, the two eyelets on here, and we'll go from there. So I will see you guys in a second. Okay, so now that I've got that second one built, now we need to figure out where these other eyelets go. Okay, now on the ship, and each ship's going to be different, but on this ship, where my cannons have to stick out, okay, they just barely pass the face of this, because they actually sit inwards a little bit from the planking. So once you got that figured out, that's where you're going to put your cannon. So your mine here sticks out just a little bit past this, but once I put the thickness of the planking on, it'll be pretty much flush with the planking, which turns out that my wheels are the same distance as the ribs here, right? So what I've done is I've taken that measurement, and that's where the eye bolts go, as hopefully I can show you here. Okay. I don't know if you can see those eye bolts right here. I've already drilled all my holes in all the way along, as you can see some over on this side here, right? So all my eye bolts are already, eye bolt holes are already built, or drilled in. Okay, so I've taken my cannon here and I've marked on my piece of wood, right, where my wheels should be. And at this point now, because your cannon wants to keep falling down, you can actually glue that down now that you've got this rope on. So we're just going to put a dab of CA glue there. We're going to set that down into its place and let it cure. But I have a line marked on here, and that's where my wheels are going to go. Right? Now I know where these holes are the places for my eye bolts. Okay, so my eye bolts are going to go in. Now, with yours, each ship again is going to be different. Alright, but in this case, my cannons, as I showed you, were a bunch of them are all offset. So I have to make mine, almost each one of them, different. But what you're going to do is the same way we did with the blocks. You're going to pass the rope through the eyelet. Right? Okay, now what you want to do too, or at least what I'm doing, is making sure that there is slack here. So what I'm doing is kind of tucking it down at the wheel on both sides. Alright, now I know that this has enough slack that when the cannon backs up, it's got room to back up, and they've got room to reload the cannon. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take some of that black thread or brown thread or whatever color you got, and we're going to make that little knot in here again where this folds up. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to glue mine in right away. Now if mine looks off-centered when I come back, you know why. It's because my cannons are off-centered, right? Off-centered from my two ribs. So some cannons will be way over here like this, some will be on this side, some are a little bit off-center, some are centered. So all my lengths of rope right here are going to be different. Okay, so I have to figure out which cannon this is going to be and where my cannon's going to be, and then do up my eyelets from there. Okay, now yours are going to be the same as mine. If you're doing this ship, if you're doing a different ship, you got to determine where these eyelets are going to be on these ropes. Maybe your cannons are back further, maybe your cannons are closer, you know. So these points here are going to be determined by your ship and kit. Now these here, again, this one's going to be here right beside this one on the rib, right? So this one will be on the rib beside it, and this one will get put up right here with that other hole that we made. Right, now once you've got them glued in, then you can snug these up. Right, and then once you got them all glued in, then you can make your coil on the floor whatever way you want. Right, you can make it messy, you can make it nice and neat. I've seen it done both ways. I'm going to be leaving mine messy just because it's the Flying Dutchman, and they probably didn't really care too much about this. So mine will probably be something like that, not perfectly nice and neat. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. So you do yours, I'll get mine set up, and then I'll come back and we'll close out this video for you. Oh, and by the way, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you don't miss out on anything, and hit that thumbs up if you like this little tutorial here. Also, don't forget, this was sent to me by OcCre, this kit, so I'll have a link down in the description for their store. Go online, go check them out, go see what kits they have, some extra stuff. I've got extra cannons and stuff coming right now, and yeah, go check them out. You might find something you really like. So big thank you to them for sending me this so I can make videos for you. Leave all your comments and thoughts down below. Go check out my Instagram and my Facebook group. The links for them are down in the description. And if you want to help out the channel in any way, I do have a merch store. You can go check that out. Also, if you want, I've got the PayPal Me link down there. All of that helps, and the biggest help you can do to any of your favorite YouTubers is to watch the entire video. So, get yours done, I'll get mine done. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, everybody, so I've got all mine done here, on this one anyways. Now you can kind of see exactly how it's supposed to be. Alright. Now, we're going to set this up on the ship here. We're just going to back you out. Like so. Okay, so now I made this cannon for this spot here. So we're going to take this cannon. We're just going to put it up here. Move things out of the way. There we go. Now I'm not going to pin mine in yet, but I'm going to make them all first before I get them all pinned in. Now that's where that one's going to go, right there. So there you go. Now, now you know how I've done it. You can modify it for your purposes. And again, I'm going to close out the video here. I don't want them too long. I'm going to try and knock them back a little bit. But yeah, that's one cannon, two cannons, and a whole bunch more to do. So I'm going to get all of those done, and the upper ones, I'll get them done as well. I can't do my eye bolts on them until I know exactly where they're going to sit. So, but I can do the majority of it for now, and get them ready to go and set them aside. So yeah, hopefully in the next video we're going to start installing them if I don't already have them installed. And we're going to look at building more stuff here. So if you look at the PDF here, yeah, we're going to start getting a bunch of these other stuff like the stowage and stuff ready. And a few other things that are going to go down in this under deck, you know. We got a bunch of the stowage here that's going to go in, these hammocks that's got to go in, right? So, well, also the LEDs, we're going to get the LED bars done up, and yeah, we can get a whole bunch of stuff put into this lower deck. Let's see, they want you to build all this stuff first before you even put that stuff in the lower deck. But here we got LEDs to make and put together and put them in. Yeah, there's some under the lower deck, and then there's some under the upper deck. All right, that's got to be done. So we're going to get all that figured out and ready to go, so that when we start doing the upper ribs here and get ready for the upper deck, all that stuff will be in place and it'll be a lot easier to do. So once again, big thanks to OcCre for sending me out this kit and this workstation. It's been a freaking dream using this thing. It's so awesome. It's definitely going to work even better once there's planking on the side of the hull and everything. Right now I just kind of got it makeshift, you know, with some clamps sitting in there to keep it up off the bottom a bit. But this thing is awesome. It holds a lot of stuff, all of the little containers and drawers. If you haven't seen that, go check up in the corner over here. There'll be a link there for the playlist to build that. And yeah, it's awesome. So again, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on anything. Definitely hit the like button if you're liking this. If you got any good information out of this, give me a follow on my Instagram and my Facebook group. Links for them are down in the description. If you want to help out the channel in any way, I have a PayPal me link down there, and I have a Teespring store. Go check out the merch that I have there. Leave all your comments and thoughts down below. And with all that being said, no matter what you're building or how tedious and tiny it is, take your time, do it the way you want to do it, right? The way you want to do it. So until next time, later.